Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Hemphill, and if you're new here, I want to let you know that I make weekly teaching tips for ESL teachers. And if this is something that's interesting to you, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss a weekly teaching video. And don't be shy, say hello in the comment section below. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you a mixture of games and activities that are very interactive that will allow your students to learn vocabulary, review vocabulary, as well as apply it in new and different situations. Make sure to stick to the end because each of these games and activities, when utilized in the classroom, really help enhance the vocabulary of your students. The first online teaching game is called Things. The purpose of the game Things is to get your students to connect a concept or a topic to a particular vocabulary word. So for example, you can get as complicated as a theme like justice and how it may connect to the theme of a book that you're reading, or something as simple as things that you take to the grocery store. So what you're going to do is you're going to divide your student into writers and guessers. The writers are going to be 5 students in the group, depending on how many students that you have. And you're going to ask them to write down a word that makes them think of what they would take to the grocery store. Once they finish, if it's in person, they're going to hand it to you on a piece of paper. If it's online, then they can send it to you in a chat box privately. Then you as the teacher are going to read out those words, and the rest of the group are called guessers. They're going to choose one of the words and they're going to try to guess who wrote that word. If they get it correct, they get points, and you can decide how many points they get. If they do not get it correct, then the student who wrote that will get it correct, as well as students whose responses did not get guessed at all. Then what you're going to do is tabulate those scores, and whoever has the highest points wins that round. And then you're going to go to round 2 and you're going to select new writers and then start all over again with a different theme or a concept. The next activity is an essential words routine. And this basically comes after the part of the lesson where I teach my students a new vocabulary word. I show them a picture and the vocabulary word in context in a sentence. In this example, the target vocabulary word that my students would be learning is interact. And we know that interact can mean different things depending on the context. And in this context, we're talking about the ecosystem and how different animals that are part of a food web will interact with each other. And so what I'll do is, after they've learned the target vocabulary words, I am going to have them answer a comprehension question that will apply their knowledge based on what we have just talked about. When it comes to scaffolding and support, I provide varying levels of support in terms of the sentence stem that I use. And what I've done in the description below is I've listed examples of sentence stems that you can apply for students who are at the entering all the way to the advanced stages of learning English, as well as using word banks so that they're able to take all of those words and create a sentence out of that. That again, I also use differentiated depending on how much support the students need. Once I have given them time to write out their answer and practice it, then they turn and talk to their partner and share their answer to the comprehension question. The next activity is called the Hidden Pictures game. And the purpose of this game is to get your students to be the first to guess what is the hidden image or the target vocabulary word that you've been talking about in class. Again, you can get as complicated as theme as it's connected to something that's happening, a story that you're reading about, or things discussed in class, or it could be connected to math or social studies or anything like that. But the purpose is that they're going to be talking and guessing while you reveal the picture one square at a time. And the beauty of this game is that it is editable so that you can change the vocabulary word as well as you can change the picture that is in the back of those squares simply by pulling it and clicking on it this way, pulling it out, and then replacing it with a new vocabulary word, because the game is already set up that the picture automatically is behind the squares. It's really fun. You can use this as a review, or you can start it as a warm-up activity to introduce them to the set of vocabulary words or themes that you're going to be teaching that day. The next online teaching game is called Mystery Box Game. And in this activity, again, it's also editable where you can actually insert a question that you want them to answer, and it can be based on a vocabulary word, and the output of that answer could be whatever you want. So you can get really creative with this. You could do synonyms, antonyms, say the word in a sentence. It all depends, and you can change it up depending on the different questions. In this game, you're going to divide your students into teams, and each person on each team will get a chance to pick a letter. Once they pick a letter, there's going to be a question, and you can get very creative with this. They're all targeted with vocabulary words, but you can have them come up with a synonym to a vocabulary word, or say the vocabulary word in a sentence. It depends on what you want your students to do. And their job is to huddle together and come up with a final answer is what they think it is. So once they do that, then they have the next choice that they have to make. They have to decide whether to keep the box or give the box to the other team. And they have to accept the consequences of whatever is inside that box. And in that box, they're either going to gain points or they're going to lose points. This is a really fun game, and it's almost kind of similar to a previous game that I mentioned previously in a different video where I talked about the game Bamboozled. So after you watch this video, check that out, because that's also another fun game where there's always twists and turns, and students absolutely love it, and they're always asking me to play this game. The next online teaching game allows your students to review vocabulary that they've already talked about and worked in class. And basically in this template, you can decide however you want to frame your question, whether you want to target synonym and antonyms, if you want students to say a particular vocabulary word in a sentence. However, you can get very creative with this and decide how you want to distribute points. But here is the template so that you're able to implement it in your next online teaching class. Although this video is not sponsored, I have teamed up with the wonderful company Twinkle, and as a way to say thank you to you for being so faithful and watching my videos and being subscribed to my channel, Twinkle has given you a free month subscription to their website that has tons of resources, games, worksheets, and different types of activities that you can do with your students, either online or in-person teaching. But I am sure that you're going to find something that you can find for your students. They have different grade levels as well as different specific set of skills. And if there's something that you don't see that you would like to see, you can contact them, and as they're constantly updating their wonderful website. But you should see the code over here and in the description below. I hope that today's teaching video was helpful for you. Make sure to share with a colleague if it has, and I'll see you next week for more tips, strategies, and resources for the English language learners in your classroom.